afternoon, everybody. I hope everyone can hear me. I have had a couple of sound issues of late, so I'm hoping they're all resolved. But do just shout out and just type a message in the Q&A section if you can't hear me at the moment. So my name's Lisa. I am the Quorum Training Specialist, and I'll be running through our webinar for today. So essentially, we've got 10 questions and short videos that we will run through. And then we'll have a quick chat about those as well. Now, if you do have any questions that you'd like answered on these videos, just pop them into the Q&A section, and then we will go through them at the end. So without further ado, I will start our first video. So we've got, do we need MedView Flow for e-prescriptions?
Do I need MedView Flow for my e-prescriptions? No. MedView Flow is not required for e-prescribing in lots. You can either scan the scripts as regular e-prescriptions and dispense them straight from the system, or you can store them in the script queue function if required.
Excellent. So nice short video for us. So that's how quick these are, guys. So they're just sort of little tidbits of information. So feel free to ask any additional questions as well. So that one there, when we did begin the process of creating our e-prescription workflow, we decided that we didn't want to use any external services. We did want to have it directly into the program to make for easy dispensing. So the idea is that you can scan your e-scripts and your e-tokens into the program the same way you could your own repeats and things as well. Now you can also store your scripts as well into that script queue, but we will talk about that one a little bit later. Okay, so we'll jump into our next video. So does lots have different ways of dispensing? Now this is one I do like to bring up quite often because it's reasonably new, and not a lot of people know that you can actually have multiple different ways of dispensing inside the lots program. So I will start that video.
Does lots have different ways of dispensing? Yes. Lots has a classic mode and a streamlined mode of dispensing. Let's go through both options. In classic mode first, new script and selecting our patient. We then click on script. This then loads the standard classic mode dispensing screen. We've got all our main script details here on the left, and on the right we've got our tick box or shortcut key option. Now for streamline. To swap between the two, we go up to utilities, streamline workflow, new script. You can now see the screen looks slightly different. With our customer selected, we can now see some script history here on the right and some of those tick box options. The rest of the tick box options have now turned into drop-down menu selections. These are the main differences between classic mode dispensing and streamline. All the shortcuts are still the same. It's just a personal preference on how the screen is laid out.
Excellent. Okay, so there is also a default setting that you can set within the computer system as well. So inside your lots options, you can decide that this computer will always open in classic mode or always open in streamline mode. It's a personal preference. It's a computer setting, so each computer will have that option, and it's sort of whoever's using the computer at the time. It's nice and easy to change it over so that utilities and then that last option will swap between the two modes of dispensing. As you can see, the screen does look a little bit different between the two, and that's sort of the main idea. A lot of people that are used to other programs find the streamline workflow a little bit easier because they can see things on the one screen, whereas people that are used to the original lots do tend to stick to the classic. But the option's there for either option for you to be able to use. Okay, our next one is printing our previous year's safety net report.
How do I print last year's safety net report? In your patient profile, printing the report will print it for the current calendar year. If you did need to print it for another year, we go here to reports, patient reports, safety net cards. We can then update to whichever year is required.
Okay, now support gets this question a lot at the beginning of the year. So they have a lot of calls come through about customers asking how to print the previous year's safety net. So it is nice and easy, as you can see, just in the report section, and then use that drop-down menu to select the year that you'd like. You can obviously pop in the patient details in there as well, and have whether or not you wanted the family members linked also. Now, if you did want the individual calendar year, so the calendar year that they're in, that's just found inside your dispense details and then reports, patient reports, and then your safety net report. Okay, our next one is how to not print labels when finishing scripts.
How to not print a label and a repeat when finishing a script. When finishing a script, we can use our More or Finish buttons. If we hold our Shift key down by pressing either of those, the system will not print a label or a repeat. Alternatively, here in your Lots options, we do have an option to do not print, label or repeat when finishing a script. This is a per computer setting, and you would need to reload the dispense after saving to ensure this activates.
Okay, now this is also a spot where you can see that Streamline and Classic workflow link as well. So just at the bottom there, you've got Dispense workflow for this computer. That's the Classic or swapping it to Streamline, and they are both per computer settings. So there's not too much to add to that. Literally, if you don't want a label or a repeat form, you just hold your Shift key down when you do your Finish or your More, but you can turn it off as a whole while you're using it as well. So some people, if they are dispensing a whole bunch of scripts that they don't want labels or repeat forms on, they'll come and they'll turn that setting on, they'll reload dispense, and then they'll dispense all the scripts that they don't want labels or repeat forms on, and then they'll come back in and turn that back on again. Okay, our next one is about our patient comments.
How to set up patient comments to always appear or only when required. With Lots, you have two options. In your patient comments, if you do want this to come up every time you enter into your customer details, simply put an exclamation mark. This will ensure that every time you enter this customer's details, these patient comments will pop up. If you want all of your patient comments to pop up every time you enter every patient, you can set this up in the Lots options. Located here in Dispense options, and over to the right, Show Patient Comment on Lookup.
Okay, so most people actually have this particular setting. Most people have that off because they don't need every single patient comment field coming up. So just to use that exclamation mark inside the comments field means that that's a priority one for you, and that's one that you do physically want everyone to be looking at when you're going into your patient details. So most people would have this turned off in the actual settings itself and just use the exclamation mark. Now, if you do want to have it as a comment always popping up regardless, then yes, you would definitely need to tick that option there. Now, as with any of these options inside your Lots options, you do need to close and reopen Dispense after making these changes for that setting to activate. Okay, so our next one is our PBS offline. We'll bump into that one.
My PBS is offline. What settings do I need to check? From your Lots Dispense screen, we can see this PBS no response. This means it hasn't received a response from PBS within the last 10 minutes. This can be because your internet is offline, or it could be that PBS itself is not running. On the desktop of your master computer is your PBS online icon. This is a light blue box with 3 C's. This same icon should be found down near the clock on your master computer. If it's not running, simply double-click from the desktop. Alternatively, give your computer a reboot.
Okay, so rebooting the computer once a week is normally what we recommend. Now, that's not just for our program, that is for sort of all programs across the board. Every time you turn on and off your programs, little XML files and things that each of those programs use sometimes either don't turn off properly or don't start again when you do decide to start the program. But a reboot essentially helps all of that as well. It is also important to ensure that you do reboot after any Windows updates also, just because they do have other ramifications as well. Now, if you haven't rebooted in some time, your LOTS PBS Online client may sit there and be essentially overloaded. So you can right-click on it and exit, and then wait for the icon to obviously disappear, which means that it has closed properly, and then double-click on that icon again from the desktop, and that will also restart the program too. But essentially a reboot of the night will actually help that as well. Okay, so the other thing that it'll also do is it may show no response because you haven't had a script go through within the last 10 minutes. Now, if that's the case, as soon as you put through a claimable prescription, it will actually refresh itself and then show PBS Online and offline correctly again. But no response essentially just means that it hasn't had a response from Medicare in that last 10 minutes. But if you haven't sent anything through, then that's quite normal. That's quite acceptable. Now, our next one is repat scripts coming up as private. Now, just to check, guys, as well, I haven't got any questions come through the Q&A section, so don't forget to type any requests that you've got through there. And also, if you had any suggestions for future questions or updates or anything along those lines, pop them all in there and we can go through them as well.
Our next question is, some of my repat customers' prescriptions are coming up as private. Our repat patients do receive some extra things on the PBS. The way the LOTS system ensures that it's pricing these scripts out correctly is via the patient category. Often the reason for a script going to private is because the incorrect patient category has been selected. When our repat customers reach the safety net, we need to be ensured to give them a B category, not an E category like a standard concession customer would be when reaching the safety net. Having them listed as a B ensures that their scripts will price out correctly for the remainder of the calendar year.
Okay, so those LOTS categories do base on how LOTS will price out any of the prescriptions, so including your general scripts, your concessions, and any of those safety net categories as well. Support does get a lot of phone calls in regards to this request, which was why it was a request to make the little video. Just because when the safety net is reached, a lot of people were putting their repat customers to an E, and then the next time they were getting a script that was a repat specific item, it was not going through as a PBS prescription, it was going through as private. So that's just a little note for that one, to just ensure that your repat patients, when they reach their safety net, they are a V category. Next one is, where can I see my scripts waiting for collection?
Where can I see my scripts waiting for collection? Here on the main dispense screen, we have a column called Collect. A yes indicates that this one has been collected at the till, and a no means that it hasn't. Alternatively, if the scripts were done on a different day, we can go up here to View and Waiting Scripts. Pop in your date range and hit OK. This will then load all of the scripts that are yet to be collected at the till.
So this is when you've got LOTS complete. So when you've got the dispensing system and the point of sale system, this is where you can see those. Now you can obviously tick the collected marker. That's to show that they have been picked up. It is recommended to put them through the till though, if you can, just to ensure that a lot of the reports and things between the point of sale and the dispensary system do become more accurate. You can imagine that if you are marking them as collected from the dispense, you're not actually selling them. So therefore the sales reports and things won't include things like the government recovery from these items. So it's just a good idea to ensure that you are only marking as collected the ones that you've needed to fix up, or you don't want to double charge, or maybe you had an owing script that you had to delete and then redispense, all those sorts of things from here. Now you can also click on at the moment it is organised by script number, so we can see there, but you can also click on the patient name or the item dispensed to categorise those two fields as well. And our next one is, why do I occasionally get an error 5?
Why do I occasionally receive an error 5? There are a few error 5s that may come up on the system. 5s relate to your eScript. When your system does Windows updates, it does occasionally turn off some of the requirements for eScript. You can still receive these error 5s when doing regular descriptions. So it is important to always reboot your computer after each Windows update.
Okay, so I did mention that earlier. This is one of the reasons why. So the little XML files that eScript actually use to run do get turned off every time you do a Windows update. Now, Windows, we can't predict when they're going to send out their Windows updates, but if you ever do run a Windows update, it is important to give your computer a reboot. You can still dispense the script, so you'll scan the eScript and you'll get the errors one after the other. You can still dispense. It doesn't prevent you from dispensing, but it does become very annoying with those error 5s popping up all the time. So just important to ensure that you do reboot your computer after a Windows update. Okay, guys, we're on our last one for today. We'll run that through.
Why is Medicare name yellow? In our customer details, we have a Medicare name field. When that field is yellow, it means that there's data inside. Having this field means that we can have the correct full customer name here in the Medicare name, but we can have a shortened version as their regular name within the program.
Okay, so for example, my auntie is named Elizabeth and she hates it. She much prefers to be called Liz. So in her lots standard details, she would be listed as Liz, but in her Medicare name, it would have her full name as written on her Medicare card. So that would be Elizabeth. Now that's what will actually get sent through to Medicare, is that name inside that Medicare card field. So it's a good way that you can, all of your labels and things like that will still print with their preferred name, but the details that Medicare see on their end are the details that they're going to match on. Now, very occasionally we do get calls in regards to an incorrect Medicare name, but it's more so that people have updated the patient name, particularly for women that have gotten married, and their maiden name is still listed inside that Medicare name field. So just ensure that when you do see it as yellow, there's data inside. If it's not yellow and it's the grey colour that the screen is, then it doesn't have anything listed in there. Now, essentially, that was everything that I was going to run through for today, guys. So a nice short session for us. We will be doing these on a monthly basis. So I do one of the programs each month. So we've got Lots POS will be next month, and we'll send through the emails in regards to registering for that session as well. They'll all run along the same lines as what we've done today. So some of the videos, and then I can give you some extra feedback on those videos, and then if there is any further questions, we can run through them as well. So Lots POS is next month. October, we'll have our Quorum Clear Dispense, and then in November, we will have the Lots Dispense one again. So I look forward to speaking to you all next time, and I hope that I've been able to give you a couple little tidbits over the Lots Dispense program. If you do have any questions, though, you can always send them through to learning@quorum.com.au, and I will try to get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good afternoon.